There's this conspiracy theory about Garth Brooks, a serial killer.
He's a very awkward guy. He does not come off as authentic. The bulk of Garth Brooks's interviews over his lifetime have been very, very choreographed. And people watching think, oh man, that was just kind of a candid interview. No, it wasn't. He doesn't have these natural responses when people talk to him. And he says these things that are kind of like not inappropriate, but just off. And Tom says, what I think's going on is he's thinking about all the bodies he's got buried underneath his house. That's what I think. And she says, you think he's a killer?
So welcome to another Bubba One-on-One podcast. This is the guy. I went and did his show when I was promoting Video Killed the Radio Star. And I was kind of looking around at his setup and stuff. And he told me, listen, you got to stop that radio ring light bullshit that you're doing. Nobody wants to see Zoom podcasts and all the wrong things that I've been doing. And so we kind of set up a makeshift little podcast studio until we get into our new studios. So just off the surface, Matt, how's my new setup look? Better?
Yeah, it looks good. I wasn't saying like I was saying you need to shift from when you're to do the interviews on YouTube, like not that you're set up for the radio
but I
thing
wanted to make
it was good.
I wanted to do a complete, like, there's the radio world and how it looks, and then,
YouTube,
then the podcast world.
Yes.
So this is more of a
it seems more YouTube-ish.
Right.
Not that I'm an expert, but
I've
been on a bunch of them.
You're approaching 900,000 subscribers, cuz
it's going
you're
really
doing
good.
Pretty damn well.
Going really good.
Who would have ever thought the first time I had you on, you had 25,000 followers and I had 50, and now you got 889,000 followers and I got 137,000.
Well, I've been focusing on that.
So Matt's been telling me, man, you need to do more one-on-one stuff. And, I'm like, well, where do I get the guests? And how do you start all that? I'm asking for help. And Matt's been actually probably half of our guests have been Matt. Matt has stepped up, and that's, I don't know if you know that, like, you probably don't know radio very well, but radio people are so selfish. I got a guest, I'm going to keep them all to myself, and I'm going to get the exclusive on them, and the rest of my friends in marketplace can fuck off. Whereas podcasting is more like helping your buddy, kind of.
Yeah, that's it. That has been my experience, and that includes the people that don't like me. So there's a guy named Ian Bick.
I know. I'm very familiar with it. The really nerdy looking dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because if you actually see him in person, he's got tats and he's actually kind of buff. Like he's a big guy. He's got
hand tats, and he kind of comes across as that.
But from his driver's license picture looks like he should be working at a tech job somewhere. You know. But it's
he
funny.
Doesn't like you?
I just don't think he's told people like, well, he's just not a fan, right? Like he's not, we just don't.
But you had a good podcast with him.
No, we've had some good podcasts. We did a good podcast. I was on his podcast. It was a good podcast.
Where's he based out of?
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Right. But here's the thing with Ian, like if Ian, we still text. So it's like, look, we don't have to be buddies, Like he and I are not going to be hanging out,
but we can do business together,
right? We're not sharing reels and TikToks, right?
Right.
But if I reach out to him, I say, Ian, you had this guy so and so on the podcast. Can I have his information? He'll be like, no problem. Boom, he sends it. And I'll text him and say, hey, I just had this guy on. He's in New York. He'll drive to you, and we just did an hour and a half. He was amazing. And I'll send it to him. He'll be like, whoa, bro, I appreciate that. Or he'll contact me. Same thing with him. He'll be like, hey, man, I just had this guy on like a month ago, but he reached out to me. I think he'd be good for you.
Right.
So we'll go back and forth. Like, I don't feel like there's lots of people. I think we've had this conversation where there's a lot of people out there that feel like if you're getting some pie, you're taking a part of my potential pie.
Right.
I think there's enough
radio
pie for everybody.
Well, that's legacy media in general, is where this is my pie and you can't have any of it. And if you have any of it, it's fucking my pie up. But whereas podcasting, it's like, I got some pie and let me give you a piece of my pie.
Right.
Because we're going to help each other.
Well, first of all, I want to help my guests.
Right.
Keep in mind, the kind of guests that we're getting, it's true crime. Most of these guys, almost 95% of these guys have been, if they're not law enforcement, have been in prison. So you're a guy that just got out of prison a few years ago. I know you're struggling. I know you're trying to get your story out there. I want to help you. I want to get you on a bunch of programs. Of course, I'd rather put mine out first.
Sure.
Right. But if Ian and I did something and I gave him one, he had the guy out 2 days earlier and I came out a week later because we got more people in the pipeline than him in that particular time. Like, I'm not going to be upset about it, because the truth is there is so much that goes into the thumbnails, the clickbait kind of titles that everybody hates, the first 30 seconds of the actual video, and the audio. So Ian might come out with it, and he might
way differently marketed than you.
He might get 40,000 views.
Like
I might do it, and it might get 800,000.
You have a format that I've tried to get my guy Gary to somewhat emulate, and that is, you when you in the primitive part of when you first started was just you and a guy, or you and a girl. I love that one girl. I wish I could have her on, but you said that she sold her life story to somebody.
Oh, Jen Gomez.
God, I'd love to have her on.
She was amazing.
A cat burglar, wasn't
she? Was amazing.
Out
yeah.
of Jacksonville.
She's great. She's great.
God, she's unavailable.
We tried to pay her. We even tried to pay her to come back to do another one. She wasn't supposed to do mine.
Oh.
Her agent told her, in between her scheduling it, her agent said, listen, we've got a deal to option your life rights. You can't keep going on these podcasts. She goes, well, I've already scheduled these two, which was Ian's and mine. And the agent said, okay, well, you're going to have to cancel those. And she goes, let me explain something. She said, both of these guys were in prison. I was in prison. I'm not canceling.
Right. That's pretty admirable.
Right. Still, she could return a text when we text her. She could have, you know what I'm saying? Like, she could at least tell us what's going on.
Right.
But
she's
she's probably
now.
got some big deal going on, and I get it.
Yeah. But like back in the day, you were just a storyteller and an interviewer.
Right.
And now it's become with Kobe and
Colby.
Okay. There's an L, isn't there? I'm so sorry. With Colby and some of the other guys you got working for you, it's now it's a big production where you got visuals. If Matt Cox says, if a guy that you're interviewing says, yeah, man, we were at the Dunkin' Donuts and we kicked the door down, there will be a Dunkin' Donuts and a door kicking in that story when the guy's saying it. Chances are.
You're talking about we're now taking the docs.
You used to just be a straight storyteller.
No, we still do that. We have two different channels now.
No. I'm talking about in how you've grown into when you first started at, let's say Matt Cox 50K.
Right.
Matt Cox 50K was just having, you didn't have.
Yeah, we're improved.
Yeah, what you guys have become is amazing.
You might that Colby's probably got 4 people, at least. He's got about 4 people working underneath him that are just editors, and so he shoots the main podcast. And then he edits the main stuff, and then he sends everything out to these different editors.
So he edits
and then he's got
audio.
an assistant. And he's got an assistant.
He edits the audio,
video,
then sends it down the line, and then they make it the movie. Or the doc.
Yeah. He's got those guys too.
Everything you do now is like a mini doc.
No, we have the regular podcast. We've got a separate channel that we're taking the best of those, and we're turning them into.
The regular podcast has a lot of visuals to it too.
No, I don't think so.
They don't?
No. I don't think you've ever watched one of
You
my
are
shows.
such a fucking bullshitter.
You've never watched any of my. I don't think so.
First of all, how would I known about Tom Simon if I hadn't watched?
But you have Tom Simon on here.
Jen Lopez or whatever.
Gomez.
How would I know about Jen Gomez? How would I know about Ian Beck?
Ian Bick. You're as bad as I am. I'm horrible with names.
What I'm just saying is I just love on all your podcasts, within the first 30 seconds, you're going to have a visual.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant throughout the entire podcast.
No. I'm talking about that. And you're saying how you and Ian could have had the same guest, but market it differently. Your thumbnail could be completely different.
Right.
And then you, and I don't know if he does the same thing because I don't watch hardly any Ian, but within yours, and what I'm trying to teach my guys is it's so brilliant. Within the first 30 seconds is you'll have, that you'll have a visual.
Yeah, the hook.
That hooks them into the audio portion that may go an hour 45 or whatever. Right. But within that first 30, you got a really, really specific visual or a high spot. One of the most, one of the most entertaining things they may have said. Boom, it's there. Listen, me and two dudes were in the back, and I popped open the trunk, and there was a dead body.
Right.
It would open up with that. There'd be a trunk, there'd be a dead body, and then boom, we go into the podcast.
Yeah, and then they do the shorts. All the shorts and TikToks and Reels also have the super AI visuals. Like they're almost like mini documentaries.
Now though, again, Matt Cox. Go to YouTube.
Inside True Crime. Yeah, Matt Cox, Inside True Crime.
Matt Cox, Inside True Crime. I'm trying to get him. I'm actually better at him than merch. I'm actually better at him with one thing, and that's merchandise. I kick his ass at it.
Yeah.
And we've become friends. Like privately, we've become really good friends. And I'm always busting his balls. And he's starting to dabble in, I think he's got his first set of hats out. Are they available to the public yet?
No. Nothing's available. Listen, it's been ordered, but it takes weeks and weeks to get it.
I know.
And then you get it, and you're like, I don't like the way this feels.
See, you might be a little too anal.
No, but we're good. Like we've got the signature one, which is good because that's going to be good.
Right.
We got those hats. The problem is we don't like that logo, so we're going to order the same ones. We're just different logo.
Okay. All right.
Which looks more like mine.
Now, are you doing it through where I told you to do it through? Let's not talk about it.
Okay. No, we've got all that.
Well, then we need the shirts. Your manufacturer.
Yeah, of course. And so we have to order shirts.
Right.
So listen, we're probably a month and a half away from being able to put everything on the website.
Was it like Matt Cox?
We got the domain. We got the website, everything. I've already paid for the website. I probably got too advanced of a website. Like, I mean, we're going to have to.
Is it on Shopify? Do you do Shopify?
Yeah, I am. But you know how it's Shopify, you can pay for
the advanced.
You can pay like $300, $400, $600 for these ones that are really, really cool visually.
No, we don't have that budget.
Yeah. Well, so we bought it, and then we were like, this is a lot of work because you have to basically do a full photo shoot of you in the merchandise, multiple angles, picture. Like
that's what Erica does.
Right. It's going to be a lot, but we have to get the mercerdise first.
Right.
Right.
So what do you got? You got a hat? You got a shirt?
Yeah. No, we're going to do all the stuff you told us. Everything you told us to. We're not going to do the
knife.
The knife.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good look.
No.
A guy that was in prison selling knives.
Yeah, we're going to do the wallet. We're doing the what is it? The water bottle.
Oh,
what
yeah,
are they called?
Stanley inspired.
Super cool.
Yeah.
We're doing that. But see, that's the other thing too. Is like when we get them in, you look at the label and you're like, oh, it's too ours. We should have gone with a smaller label. We should, and so we're tweaking it.
Sure.
Where you're like, it's good. Put it on the website.
Oh, hell yeah. And I sell the hell out of it. Matt, I never knew. I was over at Matt's doing a podcast promoting the documentary, and I didn't know. Now, I knew Matt wrote books when he was incarcerated for his fellow
the other inmates,
fellow inmates,
criminals. Yeah.
And now, how many did you end up writing, and did any of them ever hit?
I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I've optioned I've wrote about 6 or 7, and I've optioned the life rights for probably 4 of them. They opt, like, I don't know how people really understand what an option is, but they come in. Some company will come in and say, hey, let's say Warner Brothers,
like for instance, the Jen Gomez girl.
Yeah, but I've never.
No, but had you owned her right,
correct,
how would that work?
Someone would come in, and typically either the individual is doing it, or they're taking the life rights from an article somebody's written. So if I actually wrote your life rights, your story, and wrote a huge 6,000 word article on it, I now own the film rights, or I own the rights to that story. And so Warner Brothers could come in and say, hey, you wrote this story, we'd like to option it. And let's say they say, look, we want to buy it for $1 million. Well, they don't give you $1 million. What they do is they say, we're going to option that, though, because we don't want to give you $1 million. We might not be able to make the movie.
We might not make it. So
let's do this. Mr. Cox, we're going to sign a deal for $1 million and plus a points on the back and whatever, all this other stuff, which you almost never get. But so they say $1 million. But for right now, we're gonna option it for 18 months. Might be 9 months. I typically do a 9-month option because I just don't believe these guys. So they'll say, listen, 18 months, and what we'll do is we'll give you $10,000 right now, but you can't sell it to anybody for 18 months or 9, whatever the term is.
And then they have that amount of time to do something with
Correct.
it.
Usually it automatically renews with an additional fee. And then if they do make something, they come to you and say, hey, we're going to make it. Here's your $1 million. Once they get a budget, they typically will pay you something. And then the movie gets made. Usually they'll hire you on as a consultant, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But let's say they just give you the $10,000, and then 18 months later they go, listen, we just got bought out by Netflix, assuming or whoever. We're not going to option it again, and that means your rights revert back to you,
and you picked up 18 grand or 10 grand,
10 grand, whatever it is, and then you re-option it.
Right.
Like I've been a part of an option that was like 50,000. I didn't get 50,000. I got a portion. I got like 6 or 7 grand.
Did the criminal that you had the option?
He got a great portion.
Right.
I got like almost half, or like 30%, something like that.
So when you got a guy in the pen, you're writing a story. Do you also have to write out an options contract too?
Yeah, I would write like a little 1-page document because
it would lay it all out.
Not that I think it's going to hold up so much, or that this is going to be the final contract, but more so that we can both look at each other like, you know, we had this discussion.
Right.
You know, you can say, you signed this. You know what it is. Don't say to, I don't remember. I didn't know
if something would hit big and you'd be like, man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
You'd be like, motherfucker, you know we had
we had a deal.
We were in the cafeteria.
Right. You signed here. Oh, it's got two. I got a copy of your ID and 2 people witness it. Cut the shit.
Right.
But typically that doesn't even matter. Because
they're so happy to tell you their story. Right? I mean, like, you're probably the most popular guy. We talked about this when you were on my show.
Right.
You're one of the most popular guys there just because
these guys have been telling their story for fucking 10 years, and they've always said they wanted to write a book, but they're not going to, so I write a synopsis. Or sometimes I wrote a book, wrote about 24 synopses of these guys' lives, which is, let's say that's 10,000, 12,000 words, which is about double the size of what an article in Rolling Stone magazine would be. Or sometimes I was like, it's such a good story, let's go ahead and write a complete a book, and that'd be like 80 to 90,000 words. This is actually small. This is like 60,000 words. This is small.
Right. Now, would you bind it for them and everything like that, or would you just give it to them in like, you know, printed paper?
Where did you get that? Did I give you that one?
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's messed. It like the back cover is kind of messed. Because this is the actual.
Mine's the same as yours.
No, my cover there's a nice little it's indented.
Oh yeah, mine's a misprint.
Oh, okay. I gave you the misprint?
I don't think
I had one.
I don't know. Buddy.
Anyway.
But that's how fucking anal you are.
Well, immediately I'll catch that. Oh, can you imagine?
Would you hand, like, if you handed something like this to a guy in the pen, he has to think he's the slinging a stick ever.
Of course.
I mean, like, he's like, what the fuck? Are you serious? I got my book.
I'd have these guys that they'd take their stuff and go print it out and be passing it out to all their buddies. Look, check it out. Cost wrote my fucking story. Check it out. And then of course their buddies they come to me.
That builds interest.
They come, bro. I saw you wrote fucking so and so story, man. Listen, you got to hear my story, Cox. And then
were there some that you were like, okay, and were there some that you were like, bro, you know?
No, there were some that were. There were a few that, you know, I talked to the guy.
What was the most like, just to cut to the chase? What was your most interesting one ever?
It would probably be, I have my favorite stories, and then I have the one that's probably the most interesting. My favorite story is about a credit card counterfeiter. The guy's name's John Boziak. It was a great story.
I've heard of that name.
It was a great story, but it's not probably the most interesting. I just love the whole story. Like, the guy had every single thing you're looking for in a story. Everything from he was a sympathetic hero or anti-hero to he had multiple close calls to it was a brilliant scam. It had twists. It had turns. It was great. But
did you write it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I wrote a book for him. I wrote a memoir, a true crime memoir for him. It's great. But the most interesting story I wrote was a story about a guy named Frank Amadeo, who was a disbarred attorney who actually went to federal prison. I think he got 22 years. He was a rapid cycling bipolar with features of schizophrenia.
Hold on.
So
what was that again?
So he's bipolar, but
Right.
it's to such an extreme that he actually has delusions where he believes that God is talking to him, telling him he is preordained to be emperor of the world and that he is going to take over the world and run it as an emperor.
And so here you are interviewing this dude to write a book.
Right.
And does he flip-flop in between?
Well, he cycles so quickly. So like a normal bipolar, they'll get upset and they'll be upset. They could be upset for days. They could be upset for, hours and hours. He was very quickly, he'd go up and then back down, up and then back. So it could be within 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 15 minutes. Like these are short cycles.
Now, when you were interviewing him, doing his book, how often would that happen?
Wasn't so much when we were writing because he's pretty stable, but if you had a conversation with him, he would get upset. And then he would get upset because you have to think he's doing legal work. He did my legal work. He's the main reason I ended up getting 12 years knocked off my sentence is he's the one that fought the government to get my sentence reduced.
That's right. He was a disbarred attorney.
Yes.
So you guys kind of helped each other.
Yes. So
bit. You write my story and I'll help you with the legal proceedings on how I can get you out of here.
Yes. Sort of. Yes. I wanted to write a story no matter what, but that is kind of
now,
what
I think
ended
on
up happening.
First podcast
I mentioned
with
him.
you mentioned him about he was just fucking when he was on, he was just like a savant, like brilliant.
Absolutely.
Like,
and then you would be talking to him and he was, and I'm going to give you an actual example. When I first came to him and explained what happened in my case, I was still halfway through all the things that happened during my prison sentence, but I came to him and I explained, look, the government asked me to be interviewed by American Greed, by Dateline. They asked me to write this ethics and fraud course. All these things, and they asked me to do these things. And they promised they would reduce my sentence, but then now they're saying that they're not going to, that they've changed their mind. It wasn't enough, and so
which is bullshit, by the way.
Right, but there's nothing I could do. So I'm sitting there like, I'd already contacted a couple different lawyers on the street. I actually had a conversation with T.I.'s lawyer who told me there's just nothing you can do. There's nothing. You cannot force the government to file a motion to reduce your sentence. You just have to do what they say and hope for the best. And I was like, yeah. So I explained that to Amadeo. I show him all the paperwork, and he goes, you see this just. He sat there and he goes, this is. I'm not going to let this stand. He goes, he said, when my troops march on Washington, he says this, we're in the middle of a door and there's 150 guys kind of looking around, but they see him do this stuff. So they just kind of blow it off. He goes, when my troops march on Washington, he said, the president, he goes, I'm going to burn the Constitution and the president will kneel at my feet. And he sat there. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? And I look at the guy that brought me to him,
right,
which is one of his kind of associates.
Right. And
I look at him, and he just puts his hand kind of like, calm down, don't do anything. And I look at him and he goes, and Frank goes, I'm sorry about that. And he sat there and he goes, okay, here's what I need to do. He goes, Tom, I'm going to need to get a 2255 form from the counselor. Jimmy, I'm going to need you to order a copy of Mr. Cox's docket sheet, his criminal docket sheet. I'm going to need all 3 criminal cases. Mr. Cox, do you have your transcripts? I'm like, I don't have Jimmy, get the transcripts also. I'm going to need, what do you have, what legal stuff do you have? And I start explaining, okay, I'm going to need all of your stuff. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that. He said, we're going to have once we get all that together, we're going to have another meeting. He said, I'm not going to let this happen. I will not let this happen. He said, you're in good hands. And I look at my buddy, and I'm just like, holy shit.
What just happened?
Yeah. He goes, okay, Frank, we're good. So we walk off. And as we're walking off, I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, that guy's insane. I already knew he was insane.
Right.
And he goes, bro, he's insane, but he's winning cases. And
right.
what choice do you have? And that was my big thing was like, I'd already tried everything.
Like, what other choice did you have?
I have no money. I have no money. I'm doomed. I have no choice. And here's the problem. I didn't go to this guy for years. He'd been there years before I talked to him. I didn't go to him until...
You could have expedited this maybe sooner.
Well, but here's what happened. The reason I even entertained talking to him was because he was winning cases. Like, people were walking out the door. People are going... Guys are coming up...
legal work.
Yeah, guys are coming up to me and going, hey, bro, Todd in B2? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, Frank just got 10 years knocked off his sentence. He's going to fucking halfway house next month. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. And then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, somebody walks up and goes, hey, man, you know Gator? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he goes, he just got an immediate release. He has to be out of here by 4 o'clock today or by 5 o'clock today. Yeah, he's packing his shit. The fucking COs are waiting for him.
Frank.
And I'm like, how? What are you talking about? Like, this guy had 10 more years or 5 more years. And they're like, nah, bro, Frank just won his 2255. It's an immediate release. And I'm like, what? So you see that and you keep thinking fluke. But then, after a year of him seeing this, I go up to one of my buddies that I knew was working, doing stuff for him. And I say, hey, listen, man, the guy's name's Turk. I go, Turk, listen, let me talk to you. And I talk to him and I go, how crazy is this guy? He goes, he's fucking nice. He's certifiable. He's insane. I'm like, okay, but these guys, he's like, I'm telling you, he's insane, but it's not affecting his legal work.
Right.
He's like, you just have to deal with the insanity. And I'm telling you, he's like, Cox,
so his legal mind was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Just what was wrapped around it, you had to kind of deal with that a little bit. Was he instrumental in helping you?
Of course, 12 years, 7 years, then 5 years.
Both from him?
Both from him. He did both of them.
Now, is he still in?
No, he got out. The government got out for about 6 or 8 months. The government violated his probation, got him thrown back in jail. He got himself back out of jail. It took about 6 months of fighting them. So he's been out for about over a year now, year and a half. So he's been out for about, let's say, a total of 3 years. I think he's been out of.
Local? Anywhere close?
He's in Orlando.
Have you ever thought about having him on?
I've thought about it. The problem is, initially I wrote a synopsis of his story, which he loved.
Right.
When I got out, I decided to turn that into a full-blown book.
Like.
Yes. I scheduled several. With his help, we were communicating through core links, through the email system, and he helped me schedule a bunch of interviews with people that knew him, so I could really kind of blow out the whole thing.
You could totally get a landscape of him, and then him through other people,
and have them tell stories, because that's a really great book where you don't just get the one person's version. I'm getting a 360, right?
Right.
Well, what ended up happening is, and I already had his transcripts, I had all of his documents. I had a preliminary talk with a couple of people, and then we were going to go back in and really write up the notes and the whole thing. And then Frank found out he was getting out of prison, so he called everybody and told them not to talk to me anymore. And because he said he wanted to handle, he's already said he's going to be handling all media upon his first of all, media
himself.
Yeah, himself. And so I think, and so that really irritated me. I went ahead and I turned that synopsis into a full blown book. It's called It's Insanity. And
is it available?
Oh yeah, it's available. It does well. It sells. So
Amazon.
Yeah, you go to Amazon again. It's on. I got everything. I mean, it's on Audible. It's.
Now has he reached out to you?
No, I know people that know him, and like.
Has he read it?
Oh, he's read it. Listen, I actually, when he got arrested and thrown back in jail, I had a chick that he was dating reached out to me and said, have you heard from Frank? I haven't heard from this guy in a week or so. I don't know what's happened. And I was like, I have no idea what's happened. I went, how did you know to reach out to me? She said, oh, because I read your book. I said, how did you know to read my book? She said, when I first met Frank a few months ago, I was asking him about, his situation. And he said, listen, everything you need to know about me is in this book. And he sent her the link to buy the book, and she read the book, and she's like, I think he's brilliant. He's an amazing person. So they've been seeing each other, and then he disappeared because he got thrown in jail.
So the book helped him out with her.
Absolutely. I don't know. I don't think he's dating her anymore.
And Frank told him to go, told her to go buy it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Multiple people he's told that. He also has it on. So I haven't talked to him because I don't get what he did. I don't know.
What was his original charge?
Oh, it's got to be like, I'm sure it's like a wire fraud, money laundering. That they'll hit you with 10 or 12 charges.
Right.
I don't know exactly what. I think what he ended up with was a tax evasion or tax fraud of some kind is what I think he ended up pleading to. But the book is great. I was still able to get tons of information out of his transcripts and talking to other. I still reached out and spoke with other people.
Sure.
These were people he just wasn't in contact with anymore,
right,
but knew him during the period of time. So I went and had conversations with those people. and spoke with them and was able to turn the book. And the book's great.
Do you think it's your best book?
I mean, my best book is probably the book I wrote about me because I had plenty of time.
What's
and I know
that?
this.
What's that book? Why didn't you bring me that?
That's Shark in the Housing Pool. I don't push. I never pushed any. You're the only reason we were talking about this is because of,
in full disclosure,
right?
When I'm hanging out with Matt doing his, whether we're bowling with the girls, I think we got a date night on the 19th,
right?
And then, I've done a show. I went over and brought him a pair of new Georgia boots one day. Went over to the studio and bullshit with him, and I asked Matt about this. I saw it in the studio. So I go, "What's this?" And he goes, "That's a book put together. There's this fucking this some kind of conspiracy theory about is Garth Brooks a serial killer?" And so I kind of just deadpanned it and kind of got into it, and it's done pretty well for me. And I'm like, "Man, that's a real fucking book. Like, that isn't like some Trapper Keeper with some shit. That's a really hardbound."
Well, about half of it is just the research.
So
half of it's the research.
I asked, I'm like, listen,
that's soft copy.
The next time you come back on, I want to kind of get everybody up to speed on what we're doing. Promote Matt. Listen, if you're watching me, you certainly have gone to Matt's channel because I talk about Matt on my show. So the Bubba Army is so familiar with Matt Cox. Again, Matt Cox, True Crime on YouTube. He's now doing so well that he's splintering off and has a sub channel now. Let's talk about that a little bit before we get into the book. You are now.
That's what I thought you were talking when you kept mentioning the reenactments.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
I was talking about your first 30, right? Compared to Ian's, but now let's talk about the spinoff because that you're really putting a lot of effort, energy, and money into this new concept within your Matt Cox world, aren't you?
Yeah, because when I first got out of prison, I wanted like a big production. I wanted to interview people and have it be like a production. And I was like, but there was no way I was going to pull that off. Like I didn't realize it at the time. It took me probably 6 months before I realized like, what am I doing? I'm never going to. This is a huge project that I'm not technically or financially capable of doing. So
at that point.
So anyway, I had been talking to a few producers who were talking about how a lot of Hollywood is now partnering with YouTube. And I thought, or YouTube creators. And I thought, okay, that's like Mr. Beast, those kinds of guys. And she was like, no, people like you. And I thought, I don't see how that's possible because I'm just interviewing people. Like, how are you going to partner with me? What are we going to do? And so she said, well, you should think about that because you're getting more and more of a following. And at some point they may come to you. What would you want to do? And I kind of was like, what I would want to do is what I initially had tried to do or thought about doing. And so I talked to my producer, who's really the one in charge of everything. And I talked to Colby.
Let's give Colby some love.
Yeah, I talked to Colby, and I said, Colby, he said, what do you think? And I said, well, this is what I wanted to do initially. We could do some version of that now with AI because it's so good now.
Right.
And I said, what if we took the best podcasts we have, and every week we put out one, but instead of, if it's a 2.5-hour podcast, 2-hour podcast, let's just hire a creative director to trim it down into like a 1-hour fast-paced story and use voiceovers and AI reenactments. Not much, 20-30% of it would be reenactments, so that when the guy's describing going into the bank and jumping over the counter and pulling his gun and screaming for everybody to get down, you can actually see that happen.
And even as descriptive as having a mask on,
right? Yeah,
anything like and you would see that.
Right, and that's what's happening right now. So
your new endeavor, if you will.
Right, we started a second channel. We actually repurposed the channel we already had. So we had a channel that had like 50,000 subscribers, and it was all true crime shorts.
Yeah.
So we're now uploading these on those, and we're going to start slowly stripping those shorts off of there. And we're making new shorts based on the new just the stuff that's coming out.
Based on the new longs that you got.
Right. Kind of like little trailers.
Right.
So we'll be doing that. And then so every week we're going to have one of these 1-hour. It's actually called Dark Docs Matt Cox. So there is a Dark Docs channel already, by the way.
But not Dark Docs Matt Cox.
Yeah, if you put Dark Docs Matt Cox or Cox or Matt or anything, it comes up.
So, but there's also within Matt Cox, true crime on YouTube, there's that bubble down below that takes you there too.
Oh yeah. No, the affiliated channels.
Yeah,
you can click on the affiliated channels
on your main channel.
Yeah, it's Dark Dog.
Now, how many of these big time?
We've got 5 of them. We've only put out 1. We're going to put out 1 a week. Like we're not even planning on.
We got 1 done right now.
We got 1 done. It's the white van speaker scam, which is Craig, right?
And that's your first one.
It's great. It's such a fun story. And
that was my very first guest that you gave me, and thank you for that because he's great.
So that one, and then we're just gonna start putting up.
What's number 2?
Gosh, I don't know. We got this guy named Josh. Have you interviewed Josh?
No.
Josh, he's got a YouTube channel.
No, what's he do?
Well, I mean, he was like selling pills, and he went to prison a couple times. He's local. You could interview. He's got a good story. His story's got like over 100-something thousand on my. We just put it out like a month ago.
Yeah, I need to get the information.
Yeah, I think he lives next to you. He's not far from here.
Yeah,
I think he lives on West Shore with his girlfriend or something.
Yeah, fuck.
It's so funny. They put out like a fucking like a TikTok where she told him she's in bed with the phone, and she just as a prank, she starts recording herself, and she says, "Hey, listen, I'm thinking about applying for the Oscar Mayer Wiener truck." She goes, that they have those. Like, you can apply for a job in one of those. He's like, "What?" You hear him in the background, like he thinks she's serious. He's like, "What are you talking about? If you can apply for a job," he goes, "Go down to Hillsborough County. They're hiring these. You could be a CO for $120,000." Like, he starts going.
Right.
He goes on a whole rant about what an easy job it is and what's wrong because he's got a criminal history. He can't do it.
Right.
He's like, "What do you?" And she's like, "Yeah, but she's coaxing him." It's actually a very funny video. I saw it this morning. It came up, but he lives with her down the street.
I'd love to. He was a pill guy.
Yeah, he's a pill guy. He's got a bunch of good stories. Listen, he's got some tragic stories too. Like,
really?
I mean, we're talking about like people like a friend of his getting killed. We're talking about
I can do him. Maybe I can do him next week or something.
Yeah, he's right down the street.
I got one of your guys coming in on tomorrow. Before I leave for town, the jailbreak. Grady Judd guy.
Grady Judd
so
guy.
I've been getting. I get Matt's. I get some of Matt's guests, and of course I use my relationship with Matt. Be like, "Hey, don't forget, I got you through Matt." And they're like, "Yeah, Matt's great and everything."
Sometimes.
I gotta tell you though, I think I don't know if it comes out, but the dude I just had in here that did time with you, what was his name?
Red Bull. Andrew Levinson.
Red Bull.
That's what I said. Sometimes they say good things. Sometimes they despise me.
I'm in here sticking up for you, right? Because
I
I'm
appreciate
like
it.
Red Bull. Let me tell you something. I don't live in that world. He's like, that motherfucker's a snitch.
I'm telling you that's a real weak ass move to do 9 years in prison, then get an older gentleman that in confidence tells about his fraud case, because we all talk about fraud because we're fraudsters, hang out together.
Yeah, but
that take that information and go back to your lawyer and go to the FBI and get him in another indictment and his wife an indictment.
Yeah, but I mean,
but what?
But hold on.
But what, motherfucker?
I could go motherfucker with you.
No, I'm
all
just saying.
Day. Listen, motherfucker.
You're glorifying rats.
No. Listen to me. I probably am.
Weak ass rats.
I probably am. But I'm also sticking up for my friend and the fact
Jordan Belfort is your friend. That's cool. Sammy the Bull's the friend. You can be friends with Sammy the Bull. You're probably at a restaurant. Sammy the Bull come up to you. You probably glad hand him because he's got a name.
No, listen. Don't be putting that shit on me.
No, I'm saying you do it with Matt Cox.
I would not.
What's the difference between Matt Cox and him?
Matt Cox has helped me with business. He's helped me. Well, you know what?
Hitler was probably a good guy. Helped some people too, right?
Matt Cox got me you.
I knew he was going to say all that when he came on.
I'm like,
he was very on edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does not. He, like most people. Well, I don't know about most people, but a lot of people, he doesn't have the ability to kind of separate himself from, what's good for him, and his feelings on a specific subject. Like, I don't have to agree 100% with everything that every person, like, if that's the type of person you are, then you're never going to be able to ever be friends or hang out with anybody. There's lots of people that I disagree with things on, and
right.
I don't have to agree with everything that you've done. Like there have been things I'm sure that you've done in your past that if I found out about it, I'd be like, yo, bro, that's fucked up.
And some of what you know about too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you know what I'm saying? I'd be like, wow, that's fucked up. And then, but I wouldn't be like, yo, bro, that, what that thing you did 25 years ago, you know what? We can't be fucking friends.
I told him, I said, but Red Bull, Cox, because I've watched enough of your stuff. I said, I've seen an actual excerpt of Matt Cox saying, I'd tell on my mom to take fucking...
I've never said that, by the way. You keep saying that. Don't use that as an example. That's a horrible example.
I think I've heard something like, motherfucker, I'm a con. We're in fucking prison. I'm going to try to do whatever the fuck I can to get out of here. I got 24 fucking years. And if I can fucking tell... I'm not trying to be something that I'm not trying to be, and all you motherfuckers are acting like there's this code of honor and all this kind of bullshit. We're all here for a fucking reason, and if I could, I've heard you say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I'm sure you've heard me say, I don't give a fuck. I'll tell on anybody. I don't give a fuck. But I mean, obviously, that's an extreme version. But
I mean, I've heard you say something to the of the effect where, listen, motherfucker, I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. And if I got to do what I got to do, and so...
Yeah, I'm not, I didn't come there to make friends, lifelong friends. Like, right. I want to get out of here as soon as possible. I didn't know these guys before I went in. Not going to know them after. Right. I actually end up meeting tons of them afterwards, but only because of the show.
But here's what you don't get credit for, and you don't ring your own bell for, because you're humble and you're not narcissistic. But what a lot of people don't realize, and what you should do, is what you really should do. This would be a great piece. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Run it by Colby, of course, but you've been very philanthropic and you've been very, very giving to help a lot of these guys out. I know that you put money in guys' commissaries. Mm-hmm. I know that you keep in touch with guys that are still in. I know that you've helped guys that have come out with a down payment on an apartment, or I know that there's a lot of people, and you don't talk about any of that. You don't talk about any of that. And people don't know that you're somebody that got out, that bettered himself, that prison really did rehabilitate you. It did. And you now have gone on to create a mini empire within your little Matt Cox niche, so to speak, and that most people could never fathom. I've been in the media business 40 years. And I've never seen anybody grind as hard and as pick up as quickly as you have on how to create content, distribute it, and get paid for it faster than you have, especially coming from where you came from. And a lot of people that don't know how philanthropic and with your personal life. You're one of the. I mean, you're married to. I think I can say that you're married.
Yeah, Jess.
Your wife, Jess.
Met her in the halfway house.
Who not only I adore, but I'm a little bit scared of. And met her in the halfway house. Who she didn't want to have it. The way I know the story is, she didn't want to have a thing to do with him.
Yeah. Like
Matt Cox tried every Matt Cox move that he had, and
you know what's so funny?
She wasn't having it, was she?
She told. This is always funny. She said. Because when we first met, we were talking and everything. She's like, what do you plan?
In the halfway house.
Halfway house. Still in the half. Oh, within a day or two of talking to, like I had, you have the cursory nods and, oh, hi, how are you? And when we actually started talking and stuff, she was like, so what are you doing? You trying to get on a ankle monitor? You're trying to get a halfway house? What are we trying to do? I was like, no, I'm staying here till they kick me out. I'm saving as much money as I can. I'm like, and she's like, well, what are you doing? She's like, what do you have plans? And I was like, I'm like, my plan is, and I kind of told her what my plan. I'm like, I've written a bunch of true crime books, and I'm going to try and option the life rights for some of them, maybe hopefully get something made into a doc, maybe try and get a series. So I start telling her what my thing is. I want to try and do a podcast, like true crime podcast. She said the whole time I was talking and she's looking at me, she's thinking, this guy's so full of shit. She's like, he hasn't written any books.
Right.
He's never going to be on a podcast. Like this guy, she's like, he thinks
really full of himself.
Yeah, he thinks he's got me fooled. Like, and so she genuinely did it. And of course, as she starts to look me up, she starts to realize, like,
right,
oh shit,
right,
maybe this is a real thing. Maybe this is, and then of course, over the months, 6 months, a year later, I start coming on all these podcasts. She starts seeing me. She starts realizing, like, this guy's not joking. He's genuinely doing these things.
He's kind of on that track a little bit.
Yeah, he's trying to do, like, you know, I've failed more than I'm successful. But
I got you when you were still at the halfway house.
I was standing inside of the spare room or the rooming house that I was staying at, talking to you on the phone. I remember talking to you on the phone, standing in my room.
I had just watched your American Greed thing. So the funniest thing ever, I hate to go back to it because we told it. I think I told it the first time I had you, but this is such a better podcast. Is that my agent calls me Tom Bean, one of the most successful men that I know. Has 100 Domino's pizzas. He's he's like my angel. He's just been such a great agent for me, and when I've been in trouble and stuff like that, he's always been there. When I had no money, he was always there for me. But he saw American Greed, and he knew that you were a Tampa guy, and so he goes, "Hey, I know that you're doing interviews and shit like that," and I really wasn't. But I always did radio interviews, because the first time I had you on, we were on radio.
Yeah.
We weren't on a podcast. And so he goes, "Listen, man, there's this dude named Matt Cox. Go to American Greed's YouTube channel or Facebook, whatever the fuck, and look him up and watch the story. This guy is unbelievable." And so I watched it, and that's who introduced me to you. And so when I first had you on, you were now I'm going to say bottom of the barrel, but you had just started this trek.
Yeah.
Like you had just literally, you were still at the halfway house, still doing your Marilyn Monroe paintings and still doing you were still hustling to the tune of what you were, nothing had really stuck yet.
I'd just gotten into I'd probably been in the room, staying in the rooming house, probably a couple months. I think I'd just done Danny's. I had just done Danny's podcast, Danny Jones's podcast, which was Concrete at the time. Yeah.
And then I had you. Yeah. And then
I was super excited too, because when I was getting these, I was texting or whoever I talked to, and they told me Bubba the Love Sponge. I was like, oh my God, I remember this guy.
Because you grew up with me as a kid.
Yeah, of course.
And so and then I had you on, and I don't think it went as well because I didn't let you tell. I interrupted too much, and I didn't really let you tell your story. There was too many distractions.
There's too many people. There's so when there's 3 other people, or 4 people asking you questions at the same time. Like you're interrupting me, or asking me a question here, and then I answer that question. I start again, and then Diaco jumps in, and then somebody else jumps in, and then you're back to, and it's like I'm never able to really get my and you also don't know you also don't know the story, so you're thinking the story is this big. And so we need to kind of ask questions and spread it out. You don't realize, like, hey, there's 5 times as much story to come. So if you're going to ask your questions, let me get going first so you can ask the ones, because the bigger stuff is going to come up than what you're asking. You're asking minor questions about IDs or something. It's like, that's the minor stuff. And you've taught me to be a better podcaster, because when I was working with you a little bit, you're like, listen, Bubba, you're naturally an interviewer, so you want to ask a lot of questions. But that's not, when you get a good guest, all you do is just throw them that little lure, that little fishing line, and say, so tell me what happened. And then take a step back, and if you got a real good one, they'll carry. Yeah, they'll just run with it, and maybe help guide every once in a while. I kind of, because I know just from writing, I know what kind of makes a good story. And I know that if somebody did 10 years in prison and they were a criminal for 5 years or 10 years, I already know there's things out there that they might not even know to say. So I do know that as they're telling their story, I'll if they'll get to the point where they're like, suddenly, and that's when I got arrested. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. How much money were you making? At one point, so then I realized, oh shoot, he just got arrested. Sometimes I'll jump back and say, how much money were you making? And then they'll say, well, what kind of stuff were you doing? Like, what kind of car? And then you didn't know this was coming? Were there any close calls? I mean, you told me you didn't even know the cops were watching. Oh no, bro. And then they tell you about, this fucking guy I was dealing with got it busted, and then he wore a wire on my buddy Sammy. And then Sammy, he was my best friend, by the way. He started working with the feds against me, and then that then has another 20-minute story there. And you're like, and I know that's there because I know they didn't show up at your house. Right. And you say, that's when I got busted. No, that's not how it happened. They didn't just show up. They didn't magically know who you were. What I know, there's a whole story between how they found out, and so we jump back there because they don't know to say those things.
Right.
So I know what needs to be very seldom. If you've got a really good guest, like I've told you this before, you basically say, where were you born, and then an hour and a half, 2 hours later,
Like
you
the
say
counterfeiter. The counterfeiter was a great.
You could say thanks for coming by.
You had to.
That's a great guy.
You've had the counterfeiter on, haven't you?
I know Jeff Turner, who came on the podcast, by the way, and these guys contacted me. A producer contacted me, and then I gave them his information. And like 2 weeks later, he contacted me and said, "Bro, these guys sent me a contract. They want to option my Life Right story. They've optioned it several times. They wrote a whole screenplay on him and everything.
He was a good dude.
He's a great guy.
He and I did a lot like what you did. I just kind of threw him a few little things, and he
knows his story too.
But there was a couple because I'd watched it so thoroughly on your channel. There was a couple things that he had left out that I had written notes on that he had left out. Like he had left out the guy going to Ohio to sell the drugs, how he got pinched.
Yeah.
So he missed that part. I'm like, well, you the guy that flipped on you is the one that got pinched. You were back in Nashville. So sometimes they get a little lost. But so anyway, let's talk about this and how this came to fruition.
Okay.
And people can go buy this at
it's Amazon. It's on Amazon.
Amazon, and it's.
Listen,
now, let me ask you a question. Has Garth Brooks?
Oh my God! Listen.
See, is there a story? Is there a story? Because
no, he hasn't.
But Matt, this is some heavy shit to put on a very famous person.
I should have brought the poster. The initial book cover. So I had taken the American Psycho poster, a movie poster, where it's just like Christian Bale's face,
right?
And his neck, like his tie, ends up being a knife, and that's like dripping blood. That was the initial one. So it's satire. I replaced his Christian Bale with Garth in his hat. It was amazing. It was so great. But and keep in mind that's satire, right? Like the Supreme Court says,
satire.
I'm allowed to do that.
Fair use.
So I remember I went to my lawyer. I had two different lawyers look at it, and my lawyer looked at it and said, "You got to change the cover." And I went, "No, it's a satire." And I explained. He goes, "No," and you're right. He said,
"But it's going to cost us $50,000 to defend satire."
He said, "So if you want to spend $50,000 and give him the right,
you'll win."
He goes, "You're going to win, and after $50,000, you're going to be able to say I was right."
Right.
He said, "And you're not going to sell one more fucking book because of that." He said, "So what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, all right."
Do you have any idea if Garth has ever seen it? Did you ever send a copy to him?
No. What I want to do, I can't believe. So I actually made a stand that has a backing. You've seen it. We saw the backing.
It's at the.
Yeah. Well, that one I actually sent to Tom Segura. I'm going to explain. So it basically holds about 10 of the books.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is so I have 2 of them. I want to take one of them and go to Nashville and go into Garth Brooks's bar and sit it on the bar with the books and take a couple pictures with it. Because I figure the worst that happens is the bartender or somebody walks up to me and says, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And then leave it there, by the way. Just leave it. Like I'm not like I have to pack it up. But if the bartender says something,
because it will get to at that point.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And then you'll have photos. And then I figure if the bartender walks up and says, "Hey, what is this?" I'll be like, I don't know, bro. The publishing company sent me over here.
I'm just getting paid.
I just was told to drop it off. It looks like Garth, maybe he's selling books. I don't know what's happening. Ask Johnny and just walk away and leave it there.
Johnny.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Johnny? Like, who's John?" Or maybe they'll be like, "Oh, I'll ask. Oh, he means John. I'll ask John."
Maybe
probably know a John.
Maybe do a research as to like who Garth's agent is.
Right.
You'd be like, "Hey, ask Fred McGillicuddy who's his agent."
And he told me to drop it off.
Right.
That's all I was told.
I'm just here. Sorry, I caused you problems. But meanwhile, you got the picture.
Got a couple photographs.
Photographs, and then at that point it gets to him.
Yeah.
And then the best thing that could ever happen is he tries to sue you.
See, this is what's so funny. Is I had one attorney who told me he's not. He goes, first of all, he's not going to sue you, and I'll explain why. But he said
he gets the fact of what that would do for you.
Yes, he said. And I was like, why? He said he's not going to sue you. He said, one, he goes, it's satire. He said, two, he said, the bottom line is, he said, if he does sue you, it will hit every paper in the United States. He said the book will become a bestseller.
It'll be a New York Times bestseller.
He called it the Barbra Streisand effect.
Yeah, it's a Barbra Streisand effect. And if anybody doesn't, probably you and I know what that is. But the Barbra Streisand effect, for those that are listening, is the fact that Barbra Streisand was mad as hell that where she lived, the property appraisal had a picture of her house. And so you could type in Barbra Streisand's property value or something like that, and it would have a picture of her house and what her property taxes were, like you could do for anybody. Yeah, like anybody. And so she raised all kinds of hell about it, went to the county commissioners and all this kind of shit. And they said, sorry, you're a pup,
yeah.
Unless you put the company in some LLC or something like that, the house is listed as Barbra Streisand. It's going to stay that way. Well, that made every news agency picked it up, and it multiplied the pictures of her house like times 1,000,000.
Right.
So it's called the Barbra Streisand effect, when you complain about something and it boomerangs back on you.
Nobody knew this was. Nobody knew this was out there until you caused the problem. Until you bitched about it, and now you made it national news.
So, and then you would have. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, because I know a guy that wrote a book, and it was a New York Times bestseller. And so, from when you sell a book and it becomes a New York Times bestseller, forever, for the rest of your life, you now can be titled a New York Times bestseller.
Right.
That's that's almost like a doctor or a lawyer.
Right.
Like, so they have to always call you a doctor, even if you weren't
still
practicing.
Yeah, you're a lawyer even if you get disbarred.
Right.
I have a degree in law. I'm a lawyer.
So if you would happen to, like, if this would hit and you would be a New York Times bestseller, every book you wrote from that point forward would be from New York Times best-selling author Matthew Cox.
All right.
So I mean, that would be cool as fuck, wouldn't it?
I mean, that would be nice, but let's be reasonable.
Let's be reasonable. All we got to do is get Garth to read it, or to see it, or to get mad about it.
Here's the other reason so first, let me tell you how this started was, and a lot of people will be like, oh, I've already heard about. I've heard about this.
Isn't this like a thing? This is like
no, this is a thing.
This is a thing.
So, do you know who Tom Segura is?
Yes, absolutely. The comedian.
Tom Segura and his wife have a podcast called Your Mom's House, right?
Right.
His wife is Christina something with a really long last name. Anyway,
it's very successful, isn't it?
Yeah. It's super successful. Right. I think it's got a few million, or at least 1.5 million, something like that, subscribers. So I actually interviewed a woman who has a podcast. Her name is Stacey Lee, and she's got a podcast about true crime, murders, that sort of thing. So serial killers. So she and I did a podcast. And while we did the podcast, we were talking about, she was telling me about Garth Brooks, because she had done a whole thing on Garth Brooks being a serial killer. And so I also did some research, and I found out that 5 years ago, at this point, about 5 years ago, Tom Segura, what he and his wife do is they'll go on people's social media. And sometimes they'll find somebody who's funny. Sometimes they'll make fun of the person. Sometimes they'll be like, how amazing is this person? And they'll talk about their social media, and they'll play some of the videos. Well, so Garth Brooks had just started. He was late to Facebook, right? So he just started kind of a Facebook page a few years earlier. And somebody had sent Segura something and said, look, have you ever been on, you got to check out Garth Brooks. Now, here's what people don't understand is you think, well, Garth Brooks, social media, you would think that he's been interviewed tons of times. The bulk of Garth Brooks's interviews over his lifetime have been very, very choreographed, okay? They have been, Garth is going to be at the, Tampa Bay Arena. There's going to be 20,000 people there. He's going to sing these songs. It's his new tour. He comes on Bubba's show. Bubba already has some questions he's supposed to ask.
Probably pre-questions that they've already written out for me.
Right. Garth already has the answers. He knows what to say. It's all of 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, and it's totally choreographed. If it goes off topic, it's only briefly, and it's very, very, it's over. Even if he's
just really campy and really controlled.
Yes.
So everything he does is so highly regulated,
right?
That it's just it's not even really an interview.
Exactly.
Right.
And then
That'd be like if you walked in and I had 7 questions. You're going to read them. You're going to
I have
answer
the perfect
them,
responses.
and you're gone.
Right.
See you later, Bubba. Thank you.
And people watching think, oh man, that was just kind of a candid interview. No, it wasn't. It sounds that way, but it's not.
It's highly structured.
Yes.
It's highly, it's highly handled.
It's a sketch. I mean, it's a script. So anyway, what happens is Segura goes and they watches some of his videos on Facebook, and Garth Brooks is very awkward. He's a very awkward guy. He doesn't come off natural. He comes off he does not come off as authentic. His laughs are it's almost like you ever talk to somebody who's got that kind of a it's like it's a fake
almost
laugh.
A nervous,
yeah,
it's a fake laugh.
Yeah, and he doesn't have these natural responses when people talk to him, and so he says these things that are kind of like not inappropriate but just off. And so they're watching these videos of him and they're like, what's wrong with him? And at some point Christina says to Tom on the podcast as they're watching the videos, she says, what do you think's going on? What's wrong with him? And Tom says, what I think's going on is he's thinking about all the bodies he's got buried underneath his house. That's what I think. And she says, you think he's a killer? And he goes, he's absolutely a serial killer. He's got at least 200 or 300 bodies buried somewhere. He's like, this guy is Tom Segura, psychopath.
Just being a fucking
complete,
just being a comedian. Because that's what he is.
Right. He's joking around. And so here's the thing. You don't know what's going to hit as a comedian.
Sure.
It hits. And I mean, people go, he probably didn't realize how big of a fan base maybe Garth had, but also Segura's people just found this hilarious.
Right.
And so they start pushing this kind of they start pushing this rumor that Garth Brooks is a serial killer, and it morphs into where people start saying, well, if he's a serial killer, when did it start? Where's he getting the victims? And they start having these discussions on the podcast. And ultimately, in the kind of the whatever you want to call it, the social media or the
ethosphere,
ethos of the internet, it turns into one of the big things is that everybody kind of knows is the big question is, where are the bodies? And so that's what they say, where are the bodies? Or they'll say stuff like, and here's what they do. They go to Garth Brooks's social media accounts. They go in the comments. This is Segura's fans. Go in the comments and they start peppering it with questions to Garth. Where are the bodies? Garth, I just want my grandmother back. Garth, please tell us where the victims are. At least give the families, closure. They start.
So it's turned into a big rib within the Segura world.
And Garth knows about it.
And it's probably made the Garth tried and true, fucking completely insane about it, right?
Listen,
and now Garth knows about it.
People go to Garth Brooks, Segura fans go to Garth Brooks concerts, and they hold up signs.
Where are the bodies?
Have you ever seen this one? This one guy they've got, he's holding up a sign where it says, "We love you, Garth." And so the Jumbotron, it zooms in on that sign, and he's got a second sign underneath it. He drops the first sign, and it says, "Where are the bodies, G?" And the Jumbotron obviously knows this might be possible. This is a thing. So he's like, oh, and you can hear him go, oh, next. And he switches it. Like you could hear him panic for a second.
Right.
So listen, it goes on and on. The point is that sparked this kind of movement about Garth Brooks potentially being a serial killer. So while me and Stacey Lee are talking about this on the podcast is like an hour and 15 minutes. So we're talking and she's laughing about it. And we're kind of joking about it. And I said, well, I have a question, because one of the things that happens is somebody ends up saying, listen, there's a list out there of all of Garth's concerts that are out there, all of his that he's been on, and that for every single concert, they say there's either a missing person or an unsolved homicide
So
attached
at every
to it.
concert he's done,
Right.
there is an incident where there's a missing person or a dead person.
Yes, that's what they say. Now, while she tells me this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and we're laughing about it, I go, is there really a list? She goes, no, there's no list. And I've done me and a couple of other two researchers, we did an extensive list. There's no actual list that's out there. So, but while I'm talking to her, she says, there's no list. She said, I actually started to put together a list. She said, I spent 2 or 3 hours. And she said, after looking through maybe 50 or 60, she said, I came up with like 6 or 7 missing persons or unsolved homicides. She goes, and I realized, you know what? Like, what am I doing? This guy's got over 1,000 concert dates.
Right.
Like, what? Like, in the end, even if I put this together and came up with a few hundred, she said, what am I getting out of this? Like, you know, she said, and at this point, she said her husband came in and said, look, I get you the YouTube thing that you're doing. I get it. It's something to do. But you think you could possibly do something that doesn't bankrupt us? He's like, because your little side projects of trying to prove that Garth Brooks is a serial killer. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, can you do something that makes us money for a change? And he goes, so I had to drop the whole thing. And this is her, she and I talking about this on the thing. The video's on my channel.
You and Stacy.
We're laughing about it. And I went to her. I said, has nobody's ever written a book? And she goes, no, who would write a book? She goes, who has that kind of time? And I sat there and I went, I have that kind of time. Like, me and my buddy Pete. Now, I have a buddy named Pierre Rossini. Pierre Rossini is
the co-writer of this, right?
Co-author, yes.
Yeah. He
is a highly functioning, he has autism.
Okay.
Autistic, let's say. So
on the like highly functioning, almost savant, brilliant side of it.
No, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's funny. The thing
like
is,
Rain Man kind of deal.
Right. No, like I don't even notice when I talk to Pete, but when other people will come in and you first talk to him, you're like, he's socially awkward. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like he
absolutely.
doesn't, once he gets to know you and he's, I never notice it until I introduce him to somebody and you can tell hi, how are you? He shakes your hand. He kind of looks down. He doesn't really look. And it's like, every time it happens, I'm thinking, bro, what's wrong? And then I think, wait a minute. And you realize it when you do this. If you mention something to Pete like this, because it's what I did. I called him right up. He helped me do a ton of research on projects while we were locked up. I called him up. I said, bro, listen, here's the deal. And I explained what's going on. And I said, I think we need to look into this. He's absolutely, we have to look into it. We need to look into. Well, first what he said was, I've got other things to do. What are you doing? And I said, Pete, I'm telling you, there's something here. We need to at least do the research. He's like, I think we do need to look into this. Yeah, he goes, we you know what? He got on board.
He had
to talk himself into it. And then he was like, yeah, absolutely, we need to get on into this.
So Pete was in the pen with you.
Yeah, I was never in the pen. So, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
That's probably
that's what people say. Yeah, no. There's penitentiaries, but a penitentiary is for like real criminals.
Right. I think Flame was telling me it goes Supermax.
Yes.
Pen.
Medium.
Lows. Halfway house.
No, camp. Okay. Then halfway house. So I was in a medium.
If that's disrespectful, I apologize.
No, it's not disrespectful.
Well, kind of is.
No,
it kind of puts you in a level of incarceration that you weren't at.
It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful probably to people that were in pens because they're so serious. The idea that I would do very well in a pen is disrespectful to them because they had a serious prison experience.
Like, yeah,
I mean, they went through
like when
hell.
You were to get a little sidetracked, and I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
But like when you were getting sentenced, did they let you know that you weren't going to that type of facility, or did they?
No, I kind of thought I was going to go to like a lower camp. I didn't think I was going to go to the medium, but I got so much time. I got 26 years, and they won't let you go to a low if you have if you have more than 20 years to serve, and I had 26. So I went straight to a medium, which a medium looks like what you consider a prison. Right. That's what you think of as a prison.
Right.
But I went to a medium, and I immediately started teaching GED and teaching real estate, and so it was people were stabbing each other, and there riots and
a little bit of that.
There's a little bit of that, but But like, let's face it. Look at me. If you had a gang, do you look at me and think that's the guy we need?
Yeah, we need to sign up that guy right now.
Yeah.
No, you look at Flame, the guy we had on, and you say that's the guy we need to sign up.
I'm not gang material. I'm not prison material.
Right.
Like, what am I going to? I'm going to do your books. Like, I'm not going to.
Well, plus you were probably a protected species, so to speak, because you offered so much with regards to getting your GED.
Well, I used to say they didn't have Google in prison. They had Ask a White Guy. So there's probably 30 white guys.
And that probably got pared down to Ask Matt Cox.
It really did. It was between me.
Instead of Ask Jeeves.
There's like
there's
like 3 guys. There were like 3 guys on the compound that probably had a college degree. I was one of them.
I love, and I know we're getting off the story a little bit, but I love your TV story. That was told on your podcast, not mine. You've never told that on my podcast. The TV story where you actually had to bow up on a guy. Remember, you were watching. The TV story. That was like one of your really kind of had to buffalo and kind of like be, kind of.
Oh, absolutely. BS.
You never told that story.
No, he would have killed me. But he didn't. He knew he would have killed me. But
can you tell that story? Because it's a great story.
Yeah, it was probably it's
one of the very few times that you actually maybe was going to throw down.
No, I was not going to throw down. I just had to pretend I was going to throw down.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Listen, he wasn't scared anyway. I wasn't scared.
It's a good story.
It's a funny story because we were in what's called the TV room. We were called, they have like the white TV room, the black TV room, and then they have the Hispanic TV room. And the black.
They actually have 3 different TV rooms.
Yeah. So the black TV room is just it's the biggest TV room because there's probably 60-70% black guys. And there's probably 30% Hispanic, and there's maybe 10% or 20% white guys in the low.
Right.
And I'm at the low. So we used to watch we used to watch
It was your favorite show.
Yeah, it was Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Really the only show I watched. It was on Sunday nights.
But it was tradition.
It was tradition. We've been doing it forever.
And it was the thing that you look forward to.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh my God, it's Sunday, fucking Walking Dead.
Right. So it's on the schedule. We had a schedule so we didn't get into fights. And so we have it on the schedule. And then Cook, who's a guy who'd been there maybe 6 months, and I'd been there maybe 5 years at that point, 4 or 5 years. And so he stands up and he says, "Hey, Cox." I remember he actually scratched out Walking Dead and wrote Broken Skull Ranch was what they were used to show.
Discovery. I know.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And he wrote it, and I went, "No." I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Yeah, we're not watching that shit."
But you actually had your shit on the schedule.
Yeah, I did, but he's just kind of saying, "Go fuck yourself."
Right.
And I went, "No." And so he said, "Nah, we're not watching that shit."
Now, how many hours before the show was scheduled?
I would say, this was in the morning, so whatever, 6 hours, 8 hours.
So this could have been a Bruin.
So he sat there and he says this to me, and I went, "Nah, bro." I said, we're watching Walking Dead." And he goes, "No, we're not." He said, "I'm sick of that fucking shit, and you and all these fucking weirdos watch that shit." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, just being a douchebag.
Right.
And he's like, "No, we ain't watching that." I said, "No, we are." So we start going back and forth.
Right.
And I end up saying, "You need to stop." I said, let me explain something. I said, "We're either watching it in here, or I'll yank the fucking TV off the room." And I'm through I throw some bass in my voice and everything, like I'm a tough guy. And keep in mind, Cook would beat the fucking brakes off me. I have no chance. But I go, "Oh, we're watching it." I said, "We're fucking watching it in here, or I'll yank the fucking TV off the wall, and we'll watch it in the fucking shoe together," because we both end up going to the shoe.
Right.
And which is the hole. And
which is where the bad guy goes.
Right. Well, which is, you get in trouble. That's solitary.
No, yeah.
So he and I'm all fucking like yelling, right? And he's not. The look on his face lets you know, like, I don't believe this.
Right.
Like he's like
what the fuck's
like, get the fuck out of here. But I also think he might have thought, like, is he serious? Like, but he's kind of like snickering, like, yeah, right. And so,
but he wasn't dead set on the fact that you weren't fucking crazy.
Right, because you don't know.
Right.
Right, you don't really know. You could bow up and everything, and I'm thinking he's not going to do anything. But then again, it's like, is he?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times you think this guy's not going to do anything. Next thing you know, you get fucking hit in the side of the head.
Right. There's the unknown factor.
So we have this, we scream at each other.
Now, what time is this?
This is in the morning. So what happens is nothing happens really right then. We go, we get counted, we go eat, we come back. And I remember I put my boots on. When you put your boots on, it means you're serious, right?
Oh.
And he walks in and he snickers, he sits down, and he said, "Oh, I see you got your fucking boots on." I said, "Man, don't fucking worry about what I got on." I said, and so we're going back, and we start snickering. He starts making his comments. We go back and forth. And at some point, we both kind of get up to walk out of the TV room. And we're in the little hallway in front of the TV room. And as we're walking out, he says, "Yo, bro," he said, I know you think I'm fucking around. He said, "I'm serious. You ain't fucking watching that shit in here." I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "You know why I know we're watching it?" I said, "Because I've been here 5 fucking years and you just got here." I said, "I promise you we're fucking watching that." So we're going back and forth. Still. And I'm acting pretty badass, by the way, because also, by the way, the CO's door is probably 8 feet away. So I feel pretty comfortable that if there's a scuffle, he might hear it. So we're kind of...
And you got your boots on.
And I got my boots on. So not that it would have made a difference with Cook.
Saying. So for optics.
Yeah, for optics. So we're back and forth. And then as we're going back and forth. I said, "You need to stop fucking worrying about what we're going to watch tonight." I said, "I promise you it's The Walking Dead. What you need to worry about," I said, "is that if it goes bad between us," I said, "you need to worry about where they're going to send you." I said, because if you get into a fight, you're most likely you're both being sent somewhere else to another location.
Right.
I said, "You need to stop worrying about you need to start worrying about where they're going to send you." I said, "because you better hope they don't fucking send you out west." I said, "where they're going to be asking for paperwork that we both know you can't provide." Now, paperwork
I've been familiarized.
Right. Lets people know if you snitched or not.
Right.
And the look on his face, he went white. Keep in mind, I have no idea if he's got good paperwork. I don't know.
Keep in mind, everybody, that Matt doesn't know what this guy's paperwork
I have no
consists
idea.
of, but he's playing fucking Buffalo.
What I do know is that we're at a low.
Right.
I do know that he's been in prison 3 or 4 times already to state prisons. First federal prison. He got 15 years, which is the mandatory minimum was 15 years. So he got exactly he couldn't get less than that. It was for selling ice.
Right.
And he had a weapon, and so he had a career criminal. So it made sense. It could have been more.
Sure.
But it also made sense that he hit that. But I'm just fishing.
So
I throw it out there.
Brilliant fishing, and you got up in his fucking noggin bad.
And so we're sitting there staring at each other, and he goes white and looks at me, and he goes, kind of looks around, and he goes, "Somebody say something?" And I went, I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Who?" And I go, "You, just now." And he goes, "Fuck." And he sat there and he goes,
"You were such a mind fucker."
Listen, bro.
You were such a mind fucker.
So should have had the shit kicked out of me.
But you're such a mind fucker.
But there's multiple times I should have had the shit kicked out of me.
But you're such a mind fucker.
So listen, you know what happened? He looked at me and he goes, so his white face, he goes, "Man, you know I'm just fucking around about that. You can watch that shit. You know that." I said, "I know you're fucking around." I said, "I knew that." I said, "I was just fucking around too." He said, "Yeah, man, I don't give a fuck about Broken Skull Ranch.
Island.
Give a fuck." He said,
It was the fact that you fucking mind fucked him on the paper. And you were just taking a stab in the dark about the paper, trying to put the equation together, right? How many times in your prison in your prison career did you have to pull the mind fuck out?
I mean, there's very few times when you kind of back and forth with somebody. Luckily, I never had anything where I was got into kind of the pushing match or I just got lucky. Because I've got a big mouth. Now I'm not saying I haven't got I had a guy walk up and fucking slap me like a fucking bitch from behind, blew out the capillaries of my eye, whole eye turned red. I went to the fucking shoe, whole thing over it. He did too.
For what?
He was sitting behind me. And we were watching TV, and I knew he had a sex charge. No, I knew it. Everybody kind of knew it.
Chomo?
No, he was there for pills, but he had a sex charge, and he'd gone to prison 10 years earlier, and everybody kind of knew it, but he was denying it and spinning it, and it was a whole thing. And so we're watching TV, and as we're watching TV, a commercial came on. I remember it was CMT, it was country music in the morning, and it was some video. It wasn't a commercial, it was a video. And it was a guy, some hot chick walking down the beach. And he was a weirdo, the guy behind me. So he said, but he was a big guy. He was like 6 foot tall. He had, maybe he's 5'10", 5'11", had a biker mustache. You know, he had a fucking like 1%er. He had tats on his shaven head. You know, he was really leaning into it. And he's behind me. His name was Billy. And we're watching TV, and he says, you wouldn't know what to do with that, would you, Cox? Keep in mind, I've been fucking with Billy nonstop because there were multiple times where some guy would come in and be like, yeah, man, they just put me in for halfway house. And some guy would be like, oh, yeah, bro, I got my halfway house. I'm leaving in 2 months. Oh, man, how much time did you get? And they're talking. And then Billy out of nowhere would say, yeah, I don't even want halfway house. And he's like, I'm not sure I'm even going to go to halfway house. And I go, well, I mean, if you do, I said, I know for sure. I said, where it's not going to be. And he goes, where's that? I go, next to a church, a daycare, and he go, fuck you, Cox.
A school.
So he'd jump up, fuck you, Cox, and then he'd walk off. So I'm not worried.
But
we've had those.
But you know he's got paper on that.
Right. Yeah. And everybody does, even though he's kind of denying it.
Right.
But he's behind me. And so when he says, so I don't think anything. I think we always fuck with Billy, and Billy fucks with us back. And it's a very, very high stress situation in general.
Right.
That you get used to.
Right.
So you're saying stuff that every time you're saying stuff, like it could go bad.
Right.
So, but I'm still not thinking anything.
Because at this point, you'd fucked with Billy,
but he hadn't done anything.
He hadn't done anything. And you throw some shot across the bow.
And everybody had said shit to like there had been huge issues with Billy, and nothing. He'd never done anything. Keep in mind, I'm a very small person. I'm 5'6". I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. If he's gonna swing on anybody, it's probably me. But I've already had these conversations. So we're watching TV, and he goes, "You wouldn't fucking know what to do with that, would you, Cox?" And I went, "Shit, I got a better chance of hitting that than you do." He's behind me. I'm not even looking at him. I'm so unconcerned.
Right.
And he goes, he said, "Fuck, I want to fuck something. I'd knock you out and fuck you if I wanted to." I said, "Shit." I said, I'm a little young for you. I said, plus I have my high school diploma. So, and before I can even finish saying, really roasting him, he jumps up and he flat-handed like a bitch, bro.
Yeah, right.
Bam! Hits me right here in the face. And I mean, I stumble forward. When I turn around, I'm looking at the ground because what I thought happened was when you go in the TV room, you bring your chair. So I thought someone had walked in the door because the door was open and it was propped open. So I thought someone had walked in and dropped their chair on me.
Right.
That's how
hard you got hit.
And how it was not Billy. Like in my mind, there's no way he did anything. It just was like, bam. And I went, fuck. And I turned around and I'm looking for the chair. And when I realize
it's Billy,
I go, motherfucker. And I start kind of clinching up like I'm thinking I'm going to do something here. Keep in mind, my mother the next day, it's Mother's Day. She's coming to see me like the next day. So for a second, I stop and we're both screaming at each other. And he turns in the middle of yelling. He's like, fuck you, you piece of shit. And he turns around and walks off. Later on that night, so I sit back down. Immediately, I just sit back down. I put my fucking, fold my fucking legs and keep watching. Like, that's how I'm not that worried about it. And there's 3 other guys. They're kind of looking at me. And one of them goes, bro, you okay? And I went, yeah, I'm fine. Fuck him. He goes, no, bro, you're not okay. He's go in the mirror. Go in the bathroom. I went, okay. So I walk in the bathroom, fucking half my eyes completely blood red.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit. Because, let's face it, if I get seen like this by the guards,
right,
then I got a problem. Like they'll know that there was
some kind of
altercation.
Now at that point they start asking questions and they start fucking.
Boy, they don't even do that. They just handcuff you and throw you into the fucking shoe.
Oh, really?
They don't do the investigation.
They don't give a fuck.
Right. So
and the shoe's I'm assuming is the worst fucking place.
Everybody always says that the shoe.
How many times did you go to the shoe?
I think like 3 or 4 times. One time was 45 days. One time was like 2 weeks. Another time was like
45 days.
Yeah. See, this is the problem is that I'm not a huge fan of people.
Oh, I know.
So I was in a room. I had a shower in the room. We had the stainless steel toilet combo. It was super cold, which was the worst part of it. But
they would give you blankets?
No, you're only allowed like one blanket, one this. So you basically, you figure out how to you put all your clothes on and kind of lay down and everything.
Right.
But I would sleep, and then I would read. So I was reading. I was knocking out like a book a day.
But what did you do to get in there?
The first time, every time I ever went on, I had never done anything. Like you get picked up, and somebody said one time somebody had dropped a note saying that me and another inmate had a dispute, and 2 weeks later they let me out because they realized that.
Hold on, they sent you the fucking shoe based on a note.
Yeah.
That some wrote and said Matt Cox had a problem with John McGillicuddy, and so they throw you in the fucking shoe. There's no evidence. There's no. They just come say, Cox, come on.
Yeah, they have like 30 days to do an investigation. And when they did and they came back and they sat down. They said, did you have a problem with this guy? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. And I said, did you talk to him? They said, yeah, we talked to him. He said he didn't have a problem.
Why didn't it happen before?
Yeah. They let us both out.
But you're so fucking crazy. You probably like the shoe.
I didn't mind. I don't mind. Every time I've been, I didn't really mind. My biggest problem with going to shoe is that when you get back, you've lost your room. So you start back over in what they call the fishbowl, and after a couple of weeks or a month, then you eventually get into a regular room, and then hopefully, like every time I would ever get to like a 2-man room, and I had like the bottom bunk, I'd always end up going to the shoe, like every time, because it takes years to get there. I'd be there for a month, boom, shoe. Be there for 2 weeks, boom, shoe. They just kept happening. So I just realized like you're just never really going to have a bottom bunk, which I did have bottom bunk several times. I went into the RDAP program, but that's not the point. The point is I go to the shoe. I could read. It was the 45-day one was the only time I ended up having a roommate, I think. I got a roommate. Shoe? Yeah, because I went over 30 days, and they would ask you every couple of days, they go, Cox, do you want a roommate? And I'd be like, no. And they go, okay, cool. And then so one day after like 30 days, I got to the point where I was starting to get bored. Yeah. And so you want a roommate? I go, yeah, give me somebody. Like, give me somebody. They put some guy in that was there for like a week, and then he moved. They gave me some other guy that was there for 3 days, and then I got let out. You know, you just sit there and you talk straight for a fucking. They tell you their story. You tell them.
Just you and I bullshitting right now
for fucking days.
Yeah,
and look, you'd be in the. It's almost like whoever you were in the shoe with if you're in the shoe with someone for a week, and then you see him on the compound, which is highly unlikely because most people just get shipped. And you walking by the compound, and you see that guy, like, you know everything about that
motherfucker.
You'd be walking by, like, what's happened with Jennifer? What happened with Jennifer? He'd be like, oh, bro, she's not pregnant, man. Like, I thought my daughter, yeah, she's cool, bro. But that guy's still going to marry her. And you'd be like, oh, wait.
Okay, good, motherfucker.
You know everything about him.
His mom's name, his fucking everything about the fucking deal, right?
So, anyway, yeah, so the thing with Billy is by the end of the day, multiple people had dropped notes on me, on the situation. There was this.
And so everybody's a fucking snitch.
They're all telling on each other.
Everybody's fucking snitch.
Which is funny because I've been told that the person that told, it's called SIS, the people who do the investigations, the person that told SIS, I was told that the person that actually told them was Red Bull. I don't know that. Yeah, but I don't know that.
We don't know that.
I don't know that.
Red Bull's such a motherfucker about you in the afterlife. But meanwhile, he may have been the dude that told on you about Billy.
Right. But, you know, I know, like, when he came on the podcast, like, I don't say it. I'm not going to say it. Why am I going to say something?
I really wish I would have known that information 2 days ago.
But it's silly.
I would have said, Billy, Matt Cox is snitch. About the time that you fucking told on him about the Billy situation.
Right. See, here's the thing, though. Even if he didn't deny it, but I'm assuming he did. To me, it's like when he and I sat there on my podcast and we went back and forth, like there's all kinds of things I could have said. You know what I'm saying about him? Like, hey, what about this? What about this? Like, I could have really drilled him on the person he was and his behavior in prison. But in the end, it's like, where's this going?
Yeah.
Like, and this is the big thing is that I genuinely I don't care what you think about me. Like, and I told him that. I was like, the problem is that in the end,
you think a lot of these guys like Red Bull. Red Bull's that's the only one I've got that was adversarial towards you. You think, and I kept reiterating, you know, you're jealous, man. You're jealous of Matt.
Yeah,
and he was like, no, I ain't jealous of him. I said, well, I mean, you know, you keep calling him a snitch and shit. So let's say that he's a snitch. I think it's coming out on Tuesday. I said, but look what he's done. Prison's totally rehabbed him. He's one of the very few that's been on it to go on and really, really better himself. He's got, should I say, a small media empire going over there. He's making. I said, you'd be surprised. I said, I know how much he makes because I know.
Right.
I said, I got a pretty good pretty good idea what he makes. I said, you would be amazed as to what he makes. The world that I live in is not the world that you live in. So Matt Cox is okay in my book. Oh, man, that just pissed him off because when I just said, I don't give a fuck what Matt Cox did.
He's desperate for everybody to jump on the bandwagon.
Right.
He's,
I mean,
like your life, it has not ended up the way you want it, but it's your life and you're still here. And like, to me, like I was so just grateful to be out of prison. I was, I really felt, appreciative of everything that I have. And
there's not
even when I had nothing. When I was in his situation, by the way, I was appreciative.
Well, yeah.
To be in his situation. Yeah. You're not in prison. You've got a chance. You're back out with your daughter, your wife. You've got a life. You can work. You can do things. You can change the channel when you want. You have YouTube is free. Like you have all of these things, and
YouTube is free,
right?
Like with YouTube being free, I find myself watching nothing but YouTube sometimes. I can find almost anything I want on fucking YouTube.
I think I've watched every World War II documentary out there.
I'm into Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers, and I just keep typing in that and just get And look what YouTube changed your life.
In the game of life, even the 50-yard line seats don't interest me. I came to play. That's Vince Lombardi. It's one of my favorite quotes.
Say it again.
In the game of life, even the 50-yard line seats don't interest me. I came to play.
Yeah.
Just fucking amazing, right?
The guy was unfucking believable.
And I'm not even a football. I don't really. I'm not a football person, but I do know. Every time I've ever read one of his quotes, it's like chilling.
He was such a fucking unbelievable motivator. He was, and you know what? To Vince Lombardi's credit, not to get too far off the beaten path, but he was the very first coach in the NFL. Now he was in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is like being in Okeechobee.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, like it's the smallest town of any NFL towns. And at that point in the early 60s, there were no black people that even lived in Green Bay.
Right.
The only black people that were in Green Bay would be the Packers, guys who played for the team. Well, there was this one Green Bay Packer guy who fell in love legitimately with a white girl in Green Bay. And he was a really good ball player, no troublemaker, just a good Christian guy. And, interracial dating was globally, and especially in America, was very frowned upon in 1961.
Right.
And let alone Green Bay, Wisconsin, So he went to Vince Lombardi and said, "Hey, coach, I got a really big problem here. I'm in love with a white woman, and we've been seen a few times at church and in a restaurant, and I'm getting a lot of people that are really kind of mean mugging me and saying things to me, and they know that I'm a Packer, and so I knew it'd probably eventually get back to you. So in full disclosure, I wanted to let you know, and I wanted your guidance to let me know, if it's something that I need to stop and discontinue. I don't want to lose my football career, over this,
right.
but I love her. I
right.
genuinely love her. And I want to have a family with her, and Vince Lombardi said, you go to the restaurant with her and you hold her hand and you go to church and you put your arm around her and you open the door, and your skin color does not matter on your love for this woman. And if anybody says anything differently, you tell them to personally call me, because I don't have any problem with it. And I wish you and her the best. And if you would, I would be more than honored to attend your wedding if you guys get married. I mean, nice. He was that worldly back in 1961, where we were still, they were still coloreds only, restaurants and drinking fountains and stuff like that, and he was so, I had so much respect for him, because I don't know that every white football coach would necessarily have said the same thing. He was just such a great guy, but he was a hard ass too. Like he was Matt Cox hard ass. Like you wouldn't believe, man. If you're 10 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late. That's a great story. If you're 10 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late. So he expected every one of his players to be there 15 minutes before Yeah.
That was my dad used to say that.
Yeah.
The 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Being on time is being 15 minutes early.
And my dad used to say, there's one thing that doesn't cost anything in life. I said, what's that? Being on time. It costs nothing. And it takes very little effort, but it shows so much respect. And if you've noticed, the 2 times that we've gotten together, both of us have been 5 minutes early.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm typically almost always early. But there have been times. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, prison's all about time, too.
Yeah, I'm almost always early.
I mean, doesn't prison all based on time? Like, you have
the hourly moves. You have it's
breakfast at a certain time.
Yeah, the lights come on. That's what. It's funny.
Now, can you skip breakfast?
I talked to my ex-wife today when I told you I was setting up
with your son.
With my son, we were gonna all go to breakfast, and she said, "Okay, well," she said, "it's gonna have to be early," and I said, "Okay," I said, "So what?" I said, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. She goes, "No," I was thinking like 8:30, and she goes, 6 o'clock. And I said, "Well," I said, "Listen, I'm up at 6." I go, "The guards turn the lights on at 5."
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, for God's sakes."
Yeah, for God's sake.
I'm like, Jess and I are up at 5. What are you talking about?
I'm up at 3:20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
once you get used to it.
So you have you on your podcast, have you talked about having a son?
Yeah, I've talked about, I typically talk about him. I talk about, because initially we didn't have
I never knew about that.
Well, I mean, because he's not like a part of my life. Like initially, keep in mind too, I went on the run. He was 3 years old. So by the time I get caught, he's 6 or 7. By the time I'm sentenced and in prison, he's like 7 or 8.
And he's in Tampa, right?
Yeah. Well, no, not now. Now he lives in Nebraska.
Met his mom in Tampa.
Kansas. He's in Kansas. What?
Was he conceived in Tampa?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She was a Tampa girl. You were a Tampa guy.
Right. So, he had made his mind up that he didn't want anything to do with me. And then it wasn't until he basically was going to move that he and I went to dinner and started communicating and had a talk. And so that's about it, I
mean, are you guys good?
I mean, like he lives in
you're a likable person.
He lives in Kansas,
I know.
And so it's, we text every once in a while, and but
does he have a family?
He's dating someone. He's dating a girl, and he's going to be 20. I think he's 26. God, I was probably off, but let's say I think he's 26 in December. So
now, do you and his baby mama have drama?
No. What do you mean? No.
I mean, are you and his mother cordial?
Oh yeah,
cordial?
No, she came to see me like the whole time I was locked up. I know her husband. I bought the truck that Jess's truck we bought from my ex-wife's husband, Nick.
Oh, okay.
He's a great guy. Tough as nails. Like you have to be. He's like an ex-Marine, Puerto Rican, super macho.
He checks all the boxes.
He needs to date my ex-wife. Like you have to have all those. You have to. Like she's a tough. I date these women
she's tougher than what you got now?
No, because Jess would dispose of the body. Like Jess would probably kill someone.
Listen,
like she's
I really like
she's angry.
Your wife. I really
Kayla's
like your wife.
Angry. Jess is just a tough girl.
All right, so Taylor, your ex-wife, who you had a child with, she's angry, whereas Jess, seems a little more less angry, more calculated, but a lot more deadly.
Yeah.
Like she'd be like, I'm not going to get mad about it, but we're digging a 6-foot ditch and putting lime in it tonight.
Yeah.
Or feed it to the gators.
Yeah,
she's country girl.
Yeah.
She's Okeechobee country girl.
Yeah.
He said she goes out and you had about 5 minutes of gator hunting and you'd had enough. And she's like, we're just getting started, buddy. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. We went gator hunting. I made him drop me off so I could sleep in the car.
You're a little
bit too much. It was too much.
She's like out there bang sticking. I'm still,
it's like fucking 11, 12 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. They've already killed one of these fucking things. I get the experience.
Right.
It's enough
great.
already.
Put on an airboat.
Let me go lay down. I'm tired.
Anyway, listen, it was so good catching up with you.
We never talked about the book. The whole reason to come on.
Yeah, we did talk about the book. We talked about. I mean, what else is talk about? I mean,
Oh my gosh! I had a whole. There's a whole.
Well, let's talk about it.
You do know Danny Jones did a podcast. It got 1 million views
about this.
You know who Johnny Mitchell is?
Yes.
Johnny Mitchell did a podcast. It got over 3. I think it's like 350.
Well, I didn't know when you told me. I misconstrued because when you told me that none of it really happened.
No, but that no. I mean, I didn't. It's not fiction. It's a satire. So
I
what I
understand.
did was I actually hired two researchers.
We kind of got off the beaten path with the autistic guy.
Yeah.
So when the autistic guy,
but
somehow we got off the path there. So you call the autistic guy. He's like talks himself into fuck yeah, we got to do it.
Listen,
so
I
we
could
can
do
pick
a
it up
whole
from there.
podcast on just we did a Johnny Mitchell and I did almost 2 hours on it. So the bottom line is that we started researching all of Garth Brooks' tour dates, which there's over 1,000, and we also researched all of his appearances on like Billboard awards or whatever it's called, Billboard
Country Music Awards,
yeah,
CMT Awards,
all of them, right?
People's Choice Awards.
Right. So we did all of those. We researched his entire childhood, and we kind of overlay. I interviewed two psychiatrists that specialize in serial killers.
Okay.
I interviewed a retired FBI agent.
Okay.
I interviewed a roadie that was on several of his tours.
That's pretty thorough.
Bro, listen. And what we did was,
I mean, you got into the roadie deal,
and we got we ended up getting two researchers that researched. We would find the dates, the date, a city, and so you have to assume that when Garth would get to a city, he would get there a day early, so they have to set up. So let's say, we would take a day,
because he'd do big stadiums.
Yes,
yeah,
and he'd have, let's say, three. He'd do 3 or 6 performances,
right? He'd do like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, kind
outrageous.
Of deal.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, this guy's a workaholic,
right?
So
and worth billions,
right? So what we would do is we would go in and we would do a couple days before, or a day before, and a day after, and then we would search that 6 or 7 or 8 day, and we'd find out, were there any missing persons, were there any unsolved homicides. Then we would look them up, and we'd find out, like, let's say we would get a report, and the report would say that it was a drive-by shooting and someone spotted the shooter and he had dreads. That's clearly not.
It's not a Garth Brooks.
It's not Garth. So,
but if it would have been a 4-wheel drive, jacked up F-150,
black truck, by the way.
Yeah.
There's multiple black truck sightings in the general vicinity of his house. But one of the things we would do is, we excluded not dozens, probably 100 and something we excluded because
it was
the
like dreads, the bullshit.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like, this is or even if the cops say, look, we believe that this is gang related. These 2 guys that got shot, or this guy that got shot, he's a gang member.
they're out.
Okay, we're done.
Right.
Like, I don't need those. Trust me, there's plenty. I don't need to force it.
Right.
There's plenty. So what we did was we started with when Garth. Listen, I could go all, bro. There's, how serial killers, when they're raised, there's usually something traumatic that happens in their childhood. Like, we've got that kind of not an event exactly, but
within Garth's world.
Yeah. So listen, did you know his mother was actually a country music singer?
No.
She was on her way to success. She gets married. She has a family. She has to give it up. And you would think, okay, well, so does she hold resentment? Is there an issue there? Well, no. But you really wouldn't know, because Garth has such a stranglehold on the people in his life, and all of the people that all the information on him is really, really kept under wraps, right? There's never anything negative, especially in his family or anything like that. This is your family. But let me give you.
He's got his shit locked down.
Right. But I'll tell you this, one of the things he said, which to me is telling, is that his mother made all the kids learn how to play an instrument, and every week they had a talent contest. We're talking about growing up, your whole growing up. Once a week, everybody has to perform for the family.
In your family.
That's odd.
That is odd.
Yeah. So the mother. So was she holding resentment? Did she blame Garth? Was there a lot of pressure? I don't know. But not every one of the serial killers out there also has these traumatic events. For example, Bundy did have something similar. But it wasn't like, a lot of people say, oh, well, they were beaten, or there was not necessarily. For instance, Bundy didn't have a horrible childhood. What happened with Bundy was raised, the people he thought were his parents were actually his grandparents. His sister was actually his mother. So his mother had
I
gotten
did not
pregnant.
know
Yeah.
that.
Got pregnant when she was young, like 14, 15 years old.
So they wanted to spin it off like that's your sister.
Correct. She has Bundy.
Grandma
Bundy
and
is
grandpa.
raised as mom is my sister, grandma and grandpa are my parents.
Right.
Doesn't realize it doesn't find out until he's in his teens that this is what's happened. And as a result of that, psychiatrists have said like that's a traumatic event. You suddenly don't trust anyone anymore. Like everybody in my life has been lying to me this whole time. And Bundy was a very socially awkward kind of guy. Same thing with Garth. A lot of people out there like he's and if you see these videos of him, very awkward. He's an awkward person.
Right.
So,
and again, all of this started with Tom Segura.
Yeah, to look into it. So we look into all that, and we talk to the psychiatrist. We go through the whole thing. We make the comparison between Garth's upbringing and multiple serial killers. And the big thing with serial killers is, and since I'm gonna wrap it up pretty quick.
No, we can go as long as you want.
Well, one of the interesting
other than you have an appointment.
Yeah. Well, one of the interesting thing about serial killers is that you have there's something. Well, first of all, there's something called the dark triad. They all have certain personality characteristics which Garth has. The other thing is that a lot of them, they'll say, "Oh, they tortured animals." That's actually kind of a misnomer. That
or were fascinated with fire.
Yeah,
there's some of those things.
There's
out
some
there.
of those things, but I don't think that many. Than probably maybe a little bit more than a normal kid.
Right.
But one of the things is it's like most serial killers kill for the first time when they are removed from their environment, of their control environment, like the family. So, for instance, in Dahmer's case, in Jeffrey Dahmer's case, Jeffrey Dahmer was staying at the family home with his grandmother's house
in Ohio. Initially Ohio, then Milwaukee.
I think it was I think it was in Ohio initially. This is where I think the first kill, where what happened was his father and grandmother weren't living there.
That's right. His first kill was in Ohio, going to a concert.
It was a
weightlifting kid.
Yes.
With the weightlifting.
I was going to say, first he tried to do it with a jogger.
Right.
But the jogger got wind of it, like realized something was wrong and wouldn't do so. I forget what it was, but he ends up being like something's wrong and leaves.
Right.
Then he ends up luring this kid back to his place.
Right.
I didn't know if it was a concert or not, but I know
they were going to go to a concert, and the guy, he met him on the road, and the guy said, "Hey, you want to go to this concert?" And Dahmer goes, "Yeah, but let's go back to my house and drink some beers before
and
that,
smoke some weed." And so they go back there,
right?
And when the guy is insisting that he wants to leave, or they
lifted some weights.
He ends up cracking him in the head.
Well, they lifted some weights, and so the guy they lift some weights. They take their shirts off. Dahmer's at this point starting to lift weights and kind of get a good body, so they kind of like look at each other about having good bodies. And the guy kind of figures out
something's wrong, right?
Well, it's time to go now. If we're gonna hit that concert, it's a 30-minute drive. And Dahmer says, "No, it's not time to go," because Dahmer had separation anxiety because his mom had left and he was afraid to be alone.
Right.
And so he told the dude, "No, let's just stay here a little bit longer." And the guy's like, at that point, I'm fucking out of here. Yeah. And before when he turned around, Dahmer took like a 30-pound.
Cracked him in the head.
And cracked him in the fucking head.
So Dahmer ends up, that's his first kill.
Right.
Keeps the body for a little bit.
The reason why I know a lot about Dahmer is I was in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay. During the time?
During the trial. When he was on trial.
Okay.
And I had to go down as part of the radio station because I did afternoons. I have to go down there and cover the trial and so I was from me to the Christmas tree from him as part of the media press during the majority of the trial. And when that African-American woman flipped the fuck out, and they had to pull her out and the whole 9 yards, I was there for all of that.
Whoa.
I wish we would have had, I had audio, an audio recorder. I wish I would have had a camera.
An iPhone?
So, I wish I would have had some kind of, that could have video documented it. But I got goosebumps right now. I was that close to him, and he just had an aura about him that was just
super calm, right? Like, wasn't he just... So listen, so what happens is that incident happens. He keeps the body. He eventually dismembers him, disposes of him.
Right.
So, and there's several, like Bundy has the same kind of thing. When he leaves to, he He ends up leaving his home. He ends up murdering someone. And most of them do. What they do, they don't typically aren't doing this while they're at home. It's typically when there's some kind of an event where they've been displaced and they move, where it's like they're finally on their own with no one watching them.
Right.
So what ends up happening with Garth is Garth goes to University of, I want to say Oklahoma, goes to or Oklahoma University. Anyway, he goes off to university and
college. And for the first time, he didn't have mama there making him do fucking talent shows and shit.
Right. Nobody's watching him. He's got his own place. He's working as a bouncer. And a co-ed, a woman that went to the college also, she is not very far from his house. Someone ends up sneaking in the back, her sliding door, and attacks her and kills her and leaves the body on the bed. And so there's a body that's connected to her, goes to school with him. And it's kind of like, how do you figure out, like, is there a connection there? Like, was she a regular at the bar? You know, we don't know. Whether they in the same class? We don't know. It was never investigated.
Right.
Did he get her driver's license? Her address? Did he follow her back? Did he stalk her?
Right.
We don't know. But we have a connection. Right. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal if we didn't end up having almost 100, so it's like 90 unsolved homicides connected in the vicinity of places he's at, and over about 120 missing persons that are connected or were at events next to. And we've got one after another of these in the book.
So when you wrote this book as satire, did it blow your mind that it kind of has flipped from satire to
it's
like it makes you think? Like
it does make you think.
I mean, it makes you think like
maybe. Maybe. Listen, you know what confirmation bias is, right?
Yeah.
So is it confirmation bias? Of course, there's confirmation bias. We're looking for it. You look for it, you're going to find it. But it's overwhelming how many. Right. And what's so funny,
if there was 10 of them, it'd be one thing.
There's just tons of them.
You said there's 100 of them.
And so we weave in all of these facts that are, that really let you think that this is very possible. Like this person ends up missing, his car's found across the street from like the stadium where Garth was. Like he's right there. It's like, is it a coincidence? Sure it is. But is it a coincidence when it happens here and here and here and here, and it just keeps happening and happening and happening? And so when you read the whole book, like you got people that are like saying, "I read this book, thinking as just kind of a sick kind
trying
of
to
interest.
Be like a yuck kind of shit."
Haha. And then, but they're like you read it, and it's so overwhelming that you're like,
How long has this book been out?
4 months.
Oh, so I didn't know that it was that new.
5 months, 4 or 5.
I thought it was about a year. So really,
no. So listen,
now has it been selling pretty damn good?
Yeah, it's been selling. No, it's been. Listen, we probably sold several thousand copies at least. At least it's selling 40 or 50 a day.
I mean, so it's making money.
It's making money. It's doing okay.
Right.
40,
50 a day.
Yeah, listen, we had some days it was selling.
Well, you wait till
way more than that.
You wait till this podcast hits. I guarantee we sell a couple hundred.
Here's what I wanted to mention was, and I just thought about this probably a few weeks ago. I was thinking about this, is that if nothing else, it's hilarious to read it, and on top of that, how funny is it as a stocking stuffer, right?
Yes.
Like as a gift for Christmas.
Absolutely.
It's like anybody that reads, if you like country music, and we talk about all of his different accolades, when he went to here, he did this, and we talk about, because right now he's being sued by his hairdresser.
No, I didn't know that.
For rape. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Sorry. He's being sued right now for
sexual inappropriate.
Yes, for something, for inappropriate,
P. Diddy shit.
Yes. So he's being sued right now, and that's not the only. We've got multiple lawsuits from women, by the way, where they say he's either stolen from them or he owed them money, or in this one woman's case that he essayed her multiple times. So we've got there's a ton of great stuff, comical
and again, like
stuff.
You said, the average person probably starts out as, this is a gag gimmick.
Right.
And they read it. It's an easy read. It's 100 and... What is it?
A couple hundred. Is 100 and something pages?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a 2-day read.
It's a little over 200 pages.
It'd be like if you're flying somewhere.
No, listen, it's shorter than that because almost half of it is the research where I actually have the actual deaths or the missing people,
but the person,
where they were. The
person will start out by reading it and thinking, okay, I'm gonna read this thing, and then be like, holy shit! I mean, there might be something here.
Listen, it's very much fun. It's a fun read. It's very interesting.
It's not a wonder this hasn't been picked up and optioned.
I think everybody's scared. Listen, let's get back to Segura. Let's get back to Segura real quick, and then we can wrap it up because since we're not going to go over like all the different pieces, let's get to Segura.
Because I want people to buy it, and I don't want to spoon deliver them. I want like for instance, I'll just unsolved homicide case number unlisted, murdered on December 14th, 1992.
That's
Kayla
research.
Boring, a 5'4", 125, 20-year-old Caucasian female was found at her residence in Columbus, Ohio. Kayla had been severely beaten about the head, and she died of her internal injuries. And so it goes on, and
that's the research part. You're just reading research, like that actually will
tie
figure
into
out
her.
Oh, we'll find out like how far away was
she from the concert?
Was she from the concert? Did she work near the concert? Did she go to the concert? Did she there's all kinds of different tie-ins for.
So I want my audience to. I don't want to hand deliver them all the good stuff. I want them to go out and buy it. You can buy it on Amazon. Let's show Matt. One, he's a good friend of mine. He's done so many great things. Some of the best guests that I've had here at this podcasting table is directly because he's put his hands and knowledge on letting me have these people. But as a show of support, man, for my friend, go out and pick this up as a stocking stuffer and lean into it with the mindset of, okay, there's no fucking way. Let me just read this shit. And
leave a review on Amazon.
Oh yeah, leave a review on Amazon, and please do that. That's important. That sets the algorithm up.
Yes.
And let's sell a couple hundred books for Matt, and you might just you might be freaked out by how coincidental, like you said, it is.
It's a lot of fun. But can I tell you one more thing about Segura?
Yeah, we got to go. We're gonna wrap it up with Segura.
Okay, so with Segura. Here's what happened is I reached out to his producer. And so Segura has mentioned the Garth thing on multiple of his tours. When he goes on tour, he mentions it. He talks laughs about it. He actually
the book or just the topic?
No, just the topic.
Right.
So he did a series on Netflix recently, and he does one episode on a country music star that kidnaps fans and brings them to his ranch and tortures and kills them. It's a whole thing. It's clearly it's Segura. He looks identical to when he gets the beard, the hat.
Right.
It's definitely Garth Brooks.
So he's used it as fodder.
Yes, he's done the whole. So he did the whole thing. So I contact his producer and I send him a copy of the book, and he gets the book and he calls me and he says, "Listen." I said,
Tom Segura called you?
No, not Segura. His
producer.
The producer. So the producer is like, "Listen." He said, "This is fucking over the top amazing." He said, I want you on the show. He said, "Let me talk to Tom." And I was like, I would think I'd talk to Tom. I think I'd be a shoo. And he said, "Here's the problem." He said a month ago, once they wrapped up the Netflix series, Segura came in, sat down with the staff and said, "Listen, legally, we've been lucky so far with this whole thing on Brooks." Because Brooks knows about the whole thing. Not the book. Now I don't know if he knows about the book. Knows about Segura.
Probably knows more than you think.
Probably does. So he says, "Listen," he said, "we've been lucky so far. I just did the Netflix special." He said, "I don't want to do anything else on Garth Brooks.
To poke the bear.
We're done." He said, "I've been lucky so far. We're not doing anything else." So the producer tells me this, right? And I go, "Oh, come on." He goes, "No, but listen, he hasn't seen the book." He goes, "I'm going to pitch it at the meeting on Tuesday or whatever. When I see him on Tuesday, he goes, I'm going to pitch it." He goes, "There's no way he sees this book and doesn't have you on."
Well,
he goes, "He's got to have you on."
He doesn't see this book and say,
"Yeah, no, he did."
Hold on, I got to fucking read this thing.
And he gave it to him. He said, but he looked at it and he said, "We can't. I just can't." He said, we just can't do anything else." So Segura ended up saying he didn't want me to come on to talk about the book because he's very concerned. Keep in mind, Garth, he has friends that know Garth that have had conversations with Garth about it. About Garth, not the book, just the subject.
Yeah.
And Garth does not think it's funny. He has no sense of humor.
Oh.
He doesn't have a sense of humor in general.
Well,
but
I can't think that anybody would think it was funny.
I would think it was funny if there was a book out there. People were saying this about me. I'd laugh it off like I'm worth $100 million. What do I care?
But you're wired unlike. You're wired way different.
You know, he has
your life story. You have not been sheltered. You're completely opposite of Garth Brooks.
Yes.
You have lived a hard life, hard knocks.
And he has such a
self-made.
stranglehold. He has a real stranglehold on his public persona.
Right.
So he's very concerned about.
So he's already uptight.
Yes.
This is just going to flip him the fuck out.
Right. But here's the thing. Let's face it. If he sued, because some people are you worried about being sued? One, it's satire. I'm not worried about it. I'll be fine on a lawsuit. But if he did, it would be I would be
a
running,
New York Times bestseller.
I'd be screaming from the mountaintops to be interviewed by every reporter out there about this.
Good Morning America.
Of course.
How
much fun would that be?
Joe Rogan.
And I'd do it. I'd lean into it. I'd do it deadpan.
Yeah, you do it like.
Absolutely. The man he's a monster.
Right.
I do the whole thing.
I got the stats right here.
Right. I mean, I'm just if somebody said, what are you trying to do, Mister? What do you think you're doing, Mister?
I'm trying to tell the
truth.
truth.
What am I doing? I'm saving lives. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
What would Jesus do? That's what you need to ask yourself. That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to save people.
What if this blows up?
How funny would that be?
Oh, that would be so fucking funny.
It's good times. It's good times.
It's good times for you, bro.
Yeah.
It could be not so good times for Garth because, like you said, he's already a fucking square.
Yeah.
And he's already lives in this hyper bubble of being so carefully handled that this would just send him over the edge. I mean, it would. I hope it gets out. I hope the Bubba Army goes out and buys it and it gets out and nothing but just great things for you because it's great. I mean, it's absolutely great. It's great.
All right.
And it's good. And it's good having you, my friend. And I know we got off the beaten path a few different times, but we have a whole different dynamic nowadays. And I genuinely call you a friend, and I love hanging out with you and your wife. And I look, and more importantly, I wanted to end by personally looking at you and saying thank you. The Bubba Army and people that follow me don't have any idea all of the great things you've done for me and all the great guests that you've gotten for me. All my best guests have come through you. And thank you for that, my friend.
I appreciate it.